Welcome back. You're watching Wake Up Sierra Leone live on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire. You're also listening to us on radio this morning.
Well, coming up in the program today, we shall be speaking to Joseph Kamara Esquire, flag bearer aspirant of the All People's Congress Party, who also served as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. And also, we shall be talking to Suleiman Banja and Tejan, former National Secretary General of the Sierra Leone People's Party. This gentleman will be speaking on the ongoing amendment process of the 1991 Constitution, amongst other things.
And also this morning, with over 5,000 students graduated from the universities in Sierra Leone for the 2025 academic year, we ask this morning, does the Sierra Leone job market have space for them? And what is the fate of them getting a job anytime soon? Don't forget to be a part of the program. You can drop those comments on our AYV Facebook page. It's titled AYV News. Now, in our very first segment this morning, we're going to discuss in entirety the ongoing amendment process of the country's 1991 Constitution. We have two of Sierra Leone's most prominent barristers. We have Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara Esquire, widely known as JFK, as a prominent legal figure and flag-bearer aspirant for the All People's Congress Party ahead of the 2028 general elections. JFK served as Attorney General and Minister of Justice and also Commissioner at the country's Anti-Graft Commission under the Ernest Bai Koroma administration. Also, we have Suleiman Banja, Tejan Esquire. He is former National Secretary General of the Sierra Leone People's Party. He is also a seasoned constitutional expert in Sierra Leone. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you.
Good morning.
Indeed. I'll start with you, JFK. I mean, I know a lot of people know you, but how would you introduce yourself this morning?
Well, I'm a very simple, humble man. JFK is a Sierra Leonean, born and bred, and I've served this country in many capacities. Quickly, as a law officer, when I graduated from Fobe College, and then later I served the United Nations onto the point of Assistant Secretary General under the Special Court, and thereafter I became the Anti-Corruption Commissioner. And President Koroma, it pleases him to appointed me as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. And after that, I'm now a private practitioner, and I've been involved in this type of business all my life.
Mr. Tejan?
Yes, good morning.
How would people describe you this morning? How would you describe yourself to my audience?
Humble African lawyer, human rights activist, and part-time politician.
Now, if you are to describe the ongoing constitutional review process, how would you call it? What would be your fair assessment as a legal expert in constitutional law, above all?
Well, it's been a long process, actually. This process started with the late President Ahmed Tejan Kamara, and it has gone through 3 presidencies, and we're still at it. And one problem I have with the present ongoing is the haphazard manner it's been done. Usually when you set up a constitutional review commission to look into amendments to or repeal of the existing constitution, you usually do it holistically, entrenched and non-entrenched clauses. You know, you take it to that's been the pattern. But this situation is unique. For the first time, we see Parliament, the Office of the Attorney General tabling a bill, first to amend the non-entrenched clauses, and then promising that the entrenched clauses will be taken to the people and the national plebiscite. However, let me note that it is better that entrenched and non-entrenched clauses are taken to the people, because you see, the Constitution is like a shirt or a clothes you wear. It should suit the people, and it should, in our case, it should suit the purpose. And as such, you want them to be engaged in every part of it and in every aspect of it. So preferably, I would have preferred a holistic approach to it, and I would have preferred I know the expense. An election cost us over $70 million. So to hold a referendum in one presidential cycle and at the same time hold elections, you're talking about over 150 million for a poor country like Sierra Leone. That would be too much. But however, there is nothing stopping us continuing this debate and doing it properly and take everything to the people in 2028.
The Chief Minister argues that it would be expensive to have a referendum. Mm-hmm. Do you buy the idea?
And he pegged it at $75 million.
Yes, I mean, roughly, I would say yes. He's right when it comes to the expense. But it's not going to cost us more than what it's going to cost the election because you do it together. You were voting for parliament, we're voting for... they do it everywhere in the world. In America, they're always having referendums, you understand? That goes with their elections. You know, so you do it everything together. That's what I'm saying, that you cut down on the cost. And at the same time, you allow the debates to go on. Because some of us even have problems with the system of government. As a matter of fact, I've never supported the presidential system of government. I've always preferred the parliamentary system of government, even when this constitution was being promulgated. When I testified before the Constitutional Review Commission, I opted for the parliamentary system of government. I think only two of us, myself and the late Chief by Sebora Umkela, opted for that because it is simpler, it makes government more accountable to the people. I mean, the problem with this constitution, 1991 constitution, is the executive, especially the presidency, have so much power. To the extent that today, those powers have been used in such a way that they've weakened all the democratic institutions that are supposed to safeguard our democracy, which is really bad. I think it is high time we start revisiting, because all what we seem to be doing now is patchwork, trying to see how we can strengthen these institutions. But you understand, however we try to strengthen them, you understand, if we don't bring down the powers of the executive and the presidency, we're just wasting our time. We're just going around the problem because it will always surface.
Does this have the capacity to injure us in the future?
Yes, rushing it at this stage, I think we're just going back. You understand? I think there's a lot, even these amendments, you see a lot of debates going on. I think we need, at this stage, before we go to Parliament, we should have solved most of the controversial issues. Because as I say, the Constitution is made for all of us. It has to fit us. Each and every aspect, each and every facet of society must be taken on board. I think at this juncture, you know, what is the impression? It's not even good for the optics. Because what we're saying now, all the amendments that are taken to Parliament are to do with elections. So we, the political class, are saying that, you understand, only matters that concern us to win elections are matters that concerns the public. No. There are other salient part of that Constitution, you understand, that has come to the fore as a result of cases that we've taken to the Supreme Court. You know, there are so many lacunas in the current Constitution. And you cannot just take one aspect of it that has to do with elections because elections are coming and take it to Parliament. What impression are you giving to the rest of the people? That we are in such a rush to rule that we have to change the rules, you understand, only to suit us.
Before Matia comes in, JFK, let me ask, I've asked Sulaiman Banja Tejan for his. What are your honest assessments of the process so far?
Well, let me start by thanking my colleague, Mr. Tejan for his comments, and I think I agree with him absolutely on his premise of the rush. But I would start with the fact that the purpose of any constitution is to make meaningful change, and it has to be informed by the needs and circumstances of the time. And this constitution, with all due respect to the office of the Attorney General and the holder of that office, it appears to me that it has taken away the few little gains that were made under the 1991 constitution. Now, if we are to look at it historically, in the 1971 constitution, which was a Republican constitution, and then we moved on to the 1978 constitution, which was the one-party constitution. And then the 1991 constitution was a multi-party constitution, taking us forwards in terms of democratization of the country. After 1991, now we are proposing certain changes. And like Banja was saying, the most important thing here is we take away power from the people and give it back to the president. And that is what is dangerous in all of this. At the end of the day, the key issue in the whole bill that I've seen is the failure to address the issue of supreme executive authority. Let us start with even the naming of the Electoral Commission and the choice of Electoral Commissioner. The two key institutions that deal with democracy in Sierra Leone, which is the Electoral Commission and the political parties registration, the president is involved in appointing the people that will go and search for the appointees. It is like you hold the ring, you hold the man, or you hold the cow, I hold the rope. It doesn't work like that. So in all of this, you see they're fashioned in a way that the president continues to wield executive, supreme executive authority. And we're of the opinion that in this 21st century, we should be moving away from harnessing so much power into the hands of one individual and then taking power back to the people. And this is what this constitution is short of. It is not taking power back to the people. It is taking the piggy things that are left with the people and then throwing them back to the office of the president. What I see more dangerous is what many people don't say. I look beyond the blueprint. Now it is a political mischief that is designed in this bill. Let us look at the proportional representation, which they are shoving down our throats. There is no clarity on proportional representation in the bill. It doesn't define it. This is the first time we'll be adopting it formally in the Constitution. There's no definition of what proportional representation is. Further to that, there's no threshold. And there are many things that it says will be done later. You don't do a constitution like that. A constitution has to be certain. In Latin, we say, id certum redi potest certum. That which has to be certain must be made certain. We go to court to define and interpret a constitution. You don't start even in the design of the constitution by leaving it so open and uncertain. So it is very risky. The next thing is we hear of the new threshold for presidential election. You're moving it from 55%, which is what I believe was making it more inclusive. You reduce it to 51%, fair enough. But they went ahead to say now, you must have 20% in 2/3 of the district. So what happens? You more or less berating popularity over arithmetic geography. Now what do I mean by this? If somebody, a candidate such as JFK, has 57, 58%, and he doesn't have 20% in 2/3 of the district, then he will not be declared a winner. Chaos. The public will be anxious to know why. And this is what is dangerous in this. Let us look at what the dynamics are today in terms of the districting. 14 districts. Obviously, APC, SLPP, let's say 7 each. Now they're proposing Banja, Juma, and Panguma. The mischief there is, by the time they complete that process, they will have 9 districts. So what does it really mean for the political system? SLPP will have the opportunity to have 2/3 easily than APC or any other party. That is the mischief that is lying there. But putting that aside also, when you look at the independent candidacy, now we have introduced independent candidates who want to open the playing field. Fine. We agree. We like it. Give people the opportunity to contest. But there is a clause there that I enjoyed. And I was wondering, I gave it the name the Jagaban clause. Why do I call it the Jagaban clause? It talks about sufficient financial capacity and community support. How are you going to assess that? Sufficient financial capacity, community support. What is the criteria to be used? So now what is the mischief? This is what they want to do. They want to lure candidates from opposing party to go independent and then continue to strengthen the hegemony of the ruling government. That is the real reason why they're purging these things into the Constitution. Now go beyond that. They're also telling us that if a candidate is facing criminal trial, a year to the Constitution, they will suspend the criminal trial. Absolutely wrong. Every man is born equal. Every man ought to be equal before the law. If you're a president, you're facing a criminal trial, conclude the criminal trial. Why suspend it? What business does that have in this Constitution? How did it come in? Mischief. Nothing but mischief. Who are they targeting there? Are they planning to arrest anyone before? Or are they suspecting that someone might fall foul of the law before the elections? And then they suspend the trial? Are they planning because someone is already facing trial? Absolutely. We don't deal with individuals in the Constitution. I remember in one of the studios I spoke about the Constitution is locked like an underwear. You change based on the circumstances. You don't. Now moving forward, there's also provision they're talking about in the Constitution that the president, if you're convicted, he can pardon you to contest an election. That's never been in the Constitution.
And what's the purpose of all that? Continue to entrench. In the circumstances of the new constitution, we should restrain power and not entrench power. If the president has power to pardon anyone, even somebody that has been accused of rape or heinous crimes, he can pardon that person, and that person can go on to run to become president. So in the whole, this new bill is nothing but a political mischief. And look at it. How have they done it? They've taken the bill to parliament, and there are entrenched clauses in that bill. Entrenched clause is a clause that is so important in the constitution that you have to consult with the people before it can finally get changed. Now they mixed it up, both entrenched and untrenched and ordinary clauses. You don't do that. It's like the delivery of twins. You don't remove both children together and then wait and then shove the other one inside back again to get him out at a later stage. You don't do that. There are two different processes. Because in an entrenched clause process, which demands referendum, you need 2/3 majority at the second reading. You need 2/3 majority at the third reading. In other words, to avoid this 2/3 threshold, they bring in these entrenched clauses jammed up together as ordinary clauses before parliament. You don't do that. You don't do that. In fact, under section 107, subsection 7, 108 subsection 7, the constitution tells you that you do not change the constitution except you do it in express terms. In other words, the very title of your bill should clearly tell you what you intend to do. This bill that is now the Constitution of Sierra Leone amendment ought to have been the constitutional referendum bill. That is where you are specific. You identify those provisions of the constitution that affect the referendum. You separate them because they have a different procedure. But convoluting them, putting them together in one bill brings confusion with an intention to bypass the clear threshold of parliament, which is the 2/3.
JFK, one would say that the SLPP is copying perfectly from what the APC did. I mean, you served as the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, and you were the chief legal advisor to the president then. And during your tenure, you know, there were calls for constitutional reform then, especially around executive powers, the same powers we're discussing now, and also institutional reforms and independence like the Electoral Commission. Why did your administration not complete, you know, those meaningful clauses? Because if you would have done it before, we wouldn't be here now. This present regime would have been struggling to even, you know, circumvent the processes in the constitution presently. So is it not the fault of the former administration?
Not at all. What happened was, in terms of the Commission of Constitutional Review, it took some time. Widespread consultations. I think it lasted for about 4 to 5 years. Widespread consultation, huge investment. And they came out with very good proposals. By the time they concluded, at Cabinet, as a government, we went through all those recommendations. And I still hold the view, which was held by the Cabinet then, that the Constitution, 1991 Constitution, is not a bad document. It has served the test of time for 2 decades. Now, what do we see there? What we want to change, like we all agree, the Supreme Executive Authority, we ran out of time. By the time we were ready to address it, we issued the white paper. We had elections to meet. And then we prioritized elections over constitutional review, which would have meant only satisfying the government in power. So we had elections, and we conducted the most peaceful elections this country has ever seen. But coming to the Constitution itself, my concern has always been, and this is it, that the Constitution is not so much the problem, like those who will be interpreting it. We can have all the best laws in the book. You recall, Dr. Abdullahi Kontenai argued the proportional representation case to the Supreme Court. It ruled against us without no case law authority to support their position. So it is those who interpret the law that we should be care about, because the most important thing therein is, it is the integrity, fluidity, the fluidity of the integrity of those that manage the process and those who will be interpreting the Constitution. But yes, we did what we could as a government under the APC. We had a white paper, we issued it. We agreed with most of what Justice Kawan was saying, in the sense that most of them needed independent pieces of legislation. You don't need to come to the Constitution to talk about environment. You don't need to come to the Constitution to talk about vehicular movement. You don't need to come to the Constitution to talk about independent electoral processes, which can be done by an independent act. That was the view, and we still hold the view that the Constitution is a sacrosanct document, that the Constitution has to be lean and mean. What you bring in has to be a generation test and not a state test or a political party test. This is where this approach is wrong. It is a political party test. It has to be the test for the next generation.
Quickly, before we bring in Mr. Tejan, let's take a look at 54.8, section 54.8. Now, there were controversies around this and the removal of the former Vice President, Chief Samuel Samsumana. And 54.8 will be repealed and replaced entirely. And now this new section says that the loss of party membership alone shall not remove a sitting president or vice president from office. Isn't this a good thing, looking at how Chief Samuel Samsumana was removed under the APC? I
agree with you. It's a good thing. But most of the time, people tend to misunderstand the judgment of Samsumana. The Supreme Court decision was not that the executive was right. I think only one of the judges said that. The issue there was that the applicant then, that is Chief Samsumana, did not exhaust his internal political remedies. That is what it said. But putting that aside, I think it's a good move that the loss of party membership by itself would not deprive you of being a vice president. You have to go to parliament. But what is danger in that also is now that the party now has the power to remove you, and that is wrong. When someone has been voted into office by the public and has the public trust, only that public should have the power to remove that individual, or only elected officials, such as parliament. And the provisions are there already in the Constitution. So why change it? But I agree to the extent that loss of party membership should not cause the removal of a president or vice president. But now they're saying that it doesn't stop there. You can go to parliament, making the party powerful, removing the power to vote and choose the leader, and subjecting it to the will of the political party. And I think that is the threshold that you have to look at. As a people, we have to be very conscious that we may be choosing people to represent us, to be our leaders, but the party may have the ultimate power of removal, and that is not right. It's wrong. I challenge that.
Right. Now, over to you, Mr. Tejan C. Now, given your past role as the National Secretary General of the SLPP, how do you respond to concerns that the current constitutional review process that this administration, this SLPP-led administration is undertaking, it may not be influenced by party interests, rather than national consensus?
Well, I don't doubt because, as the Attorney General rightly said, most of the amendments of the year were as a result of the fact that most of the amendments that are now being tabled concerns elections and the electoral process would create some doubt in the minds of the public that these people are just colluding, you understand, to see that, you understand, they take power. Or they make it easier for each other, or they try to play each other out to make sure that, you understand, one has an advantage when it comes to elections, rather than looking at the Constitution as it affects the country, our democracy, the independence of our institutions, our democratic institutions. As he rightly said, you understand, he was referring to the sacking of the former Vice President Samsumana, and I was also in that case. And you see, at the end of the day, you see the weakness. He was also talking about the case about the proportional representation. These are all weaknesses in institutions that the Constitution guarantees should protect and guard, you understand, our democracy. So, yes, I think when it comes to Constitution, the national interest should take precedent. Well, I don't look at the Constitution with a political lens. I've never done so, and I'll never do so, because for me, it's not only a career, but it is something I have tremendous passion for. So I look at it, what would suit us, taking into consideration our experience, our challenges, our past, and where we want to be in the future.
What of the timing? I mean, is it appropriate to undertake major constitutional amendments so close to another general elections, whilst you also have processes of census ongoing. Now, to the ordinary mind, it might seem as if it's 3 years, but when you look at, the schedule itself, it's quite compact, and it seems as if we are rushing the process.
I accept. I think the process is too hasty for constitutional review. I think they've done well to bring it up. They've discussed it. They've had their own consultations. I think it's high time that they allow the debate to go forward. And there might be another angle to this debate, as I said in my introductory remarks, that of even revisiting the system of government that we want in this country, taking into consideration again our past experience, where we're going, and how weak our democratic institutions are today. So I think I agree with you that it is hasty, and that I think we should give it more time. Let the debate roll. Let the debate roll. Let us see. Let's educate the people properly, so that by 2028, that will be about 2.5 years from now, they'll be in a better position, not only to vote for their new leaders, but to vote for a new constitution.
Do you think this SLPP-led government is afraid that if these amendments are not met, they will lose the next elections?
No, I don't think the winning or losing the next elections, you understand, depends on the review of the current constitution.
But you agree it will change the trajectory of how the elections will be run in 2028?
Well, I think because yes, it's not. I think this document is a result of consultations between the two major political parties. So I don't think it's SLPP. I think both of them, you understand, I don't know, for one reason or another, are eager to win the next elections. I don't think you can say SLPP or APC, because to most of the things here were agreed by them, although some of them has been modified, and they're crying foul now that some of them has been modified to the extent that, especially the one about the next election, about the winner of the next election, simple majority as from 50+1, because simple majority will mean if I have 45 and you have 35, you understand, you've won, you understand, which is ridiculous, when not even half of the people voting have voted for you. And me personally, I don't see anything wrong with the 55%. I don't see why we should change it, because it just ensures legitimacy. It ensures that the president we have, you understand, has the support of more than half of the population of Sierra Leone. Far more than half, because you have 50% on top, far more than half. I think that was what the drafters of the 1991 Constitution wanted, because taking again into consideration our history, then our immediate history, we were just coming from more than a decade of one-party rule, followed by military rule, which came in after that Constitution, So, as I said, Constitution must reflect our aspirations, our history, and our challenges.
Let's trace history a bit. It all started from the TRC recommendations. Yeah. I mean, abuse of power was quite prominent among the recommendations to quell down the president executive powers. But that has not happened.
It has never happened.
2 decades we've poured resources, blood and sweat from the Justice Kawan inquiry to now.
Up to now, because as I rightly tell you, it is difficult. What we're doing with this present constitution is patchwork. I was part of about 2 or 3 of those constitutional review processes. Okay. And I see how difficult it was and how controversial it was to take power from the executive back to the people. The current system is not accountable to the people. The cabinet is accountable to the president. You hardly hear in this country, like you would hear when I was a young boy, about government. Government will do this, government will do that, which is what happens in a parliamentary democracy, where there is a cabinet responsibility. Everybody comes together, everybody. The prime minister is just prima inter primus, first among equals. What you have here is Mr. President, at the will of the president, at the behest of the president. So there's that cabinet cohesion that you need, people coming together, is absent, and it's getting worse as we practice the system.
Before I speak to JFK, let me ask you this. Let's go to Section 3 for a while. I mean, the proportional representation, clause, it has stood out as the most contentious. Both parties are arguing at the moment. Parliamentarians are saying, oh no, we need a 2/3 majority. Others are saying, oh no, two-thirds majority dependent on who is available at the time when they are voting. If you look at the physique and structure of the current parliament, would you say it is amiss, or excluded independent candidates because of the electoral system that was used? Would you attribute it to such? Because the argument is that because of the last system we used in 2023, a lot of parties, lower parties, were disadvantaged in the process. Do you think that's the case?
No. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yes, proportional representation makes minority parties, give them a voice in parliament. Why did it not go into parliament? The last was the threshold.
Okay.
The threshold was too high. It was about 11 or 12%. We've never had that. We've never had a threshold that exceeds 10% ever in this country. Tejan, it was 3%. I think in 1996 it was 2 or 2.5%. And then in 2002 it was 3%. You see, so when you have a threshold like that, you see a lot of political parties. You remember 2002 to 2020, 2007 parliament, we had minority parties in parliament. Even before that, 1996, we had minority parties in parliament. But this time the threshold was too high. And I think instead of increasing the threshold, we must be thinking about reducing it. Because the whole idea about it is to have different voices in parliament. Let every views come into the fore. There's a lot that it ensures, it enhances peace. It enhances national cohesion. It will help us unite.
And do you see that's repeating? Do you see that repeating with the introduction of this particular bill?
What you see, I agree with JFK. When you see, that is why there's all this, how you call it, concern from the part of the opposition. Because if we're going to go to proportional representation, let us agree on the type of proportional representation we're going into. That is one. Two, we have to agree on the threshold. And that cannot be left to Parliament alone. It should involve us as a people, as political parties, as civil society groups, as journalists, coming together, express our own views, and then we reach a common ground. These are controversial issues, yes, if we do not state them in the Constitution itself.
JFK, you've described this as a political mischief. Do you trust Parliament to do justice to this bill?
Well, I would say it's not a point of trust. It's a point of concern. Because I always look at the antecedents in anything. Of recent vintage is that of the Lara Telopea situation. And it is very fresh in the minds of the public. It left bruises and deep wounds. And if I were to go by that, I am very concerned about the outcome and very concerned about the process. Well, you rightfully mentioned about the interpretation of the provision of members present and then the members of parliament. And I think it has been misconceived. When the Constitution says the members of parliament, it talks about the entire members of parliament. The entire. When you use the indefinite article, it talks of a whole. And then whenever the Constitution wants to refer to members present, it is specific about that. For example, I believe it's Section 95 of the Constitution. It goes to tell you members present. When it goes in other provisions and other clauses, it doesn't say members present. It says the members of parliament. It tells you it is talking about the whole house. So we have in law the principle of exclusio unius, meaning when a phrase is deliberately left out in another clause, it was intended to be left out. So when it is used in a particular clause, it has an intention why it is there. So in instances in parliament, when the counting is members present, it means those in the well of parliament. And then when it says the members of parliament, the entire membership of parliament. And further to that, it talks about two-thirds majority, for example, in an intent clause for the second and third reading. When it says two-thirds, it's arithmetic. It's counting. It's not A and A. All those in favor say A, and all those in favor say no. No, that is not how it happens. You will not be able to get two-thirds by that. So when the law and the Constitution says two-thirds, there has to be a quantification, a numeric quantification. So you will not sit there as speaker and say, all those in favor say A, and all those in favor say no. How do you know two-thirds by that? So we have to be very careful. So this is the reason why I'm saying I am concerned. The issue of trust is something for another day.
Do you see this proceeding to a referendum in any way?
Yes,
when it comes to that.
I've had engagement with the Attorney General. Even on Sunday, we were in church together, and we spoke about it. And he made undertaking that the intention is to take the intent clauses to a referendum. Yes, and then I expressed my disapproval that definitely you should not have initiated them at the same time. But I believe that we should get consulted on. The people should get to know. Mr. Banja Tejan spoke about it. Civil society must participate. These issues and matters of threshold for PR, the public should know what is PR. And there was a conference that was held at Bintumani, wherein the impression and the understanding we had, those who were not there, but told us that 57.9% of those who participated did not favor PR. So why is the government shoving this PR down our throats? And why are they rushing it to the 2028 elections? If for any reason, then let them wait. Let us participate. Let us have a conversation about this and let the people decide. I honestly believe that the people's choice, and like you mentioned, and I think Tejan mentioned it, for all time in this country, overwhelming powers has been with the president. And I've been in the inside, and I can tell you why. Because when you sit on that throne, it's difficult to take powers from you. You don't want it away. I can give you a personal experience when we were discussing the Kawan bill and the white paper. President Komara had this to say. He said, JFK, let us pray we don't have a country or a leader in this country that does not have the fear of God. Because with the powers that he have, he can kill and wake the dead. That has always been in my mind. So we have to be very mindful that we have given so much, and how do we take back? And I recall, while the SLPP were in opposition, so much noise about Supreme Executive Authority, Now it's 7 years. The Supreme Executive Authority is intact. Now let me tell you also about the nature of what this SLPP government is doing. When they say things, they don't do it. They made a commitment to the diasporans about this Tusim issue. And they've cleverly ditched it. They only limited the dual nationality citizens to ministerial position, but did not say anything about the presidency. We could have said something. Let us discuss it. Do we need our brothers from the diaspora to come in? If we want them to come, let us show in what circumstances. Can we put a residency clause that you can come, but you need to have been in the country for X number of years. You need to have paid so much taxes. But then let them participate. Why limit them to ministerial positions? My argument is this. Every cell union ought to have the opportunity to represent at every level you want. The conditions can be set. So it is this disingenuity, I'll call it. I've been made a commitment. It is part of their manifesto. I've always argued, let us open the space for cell unions, wherever they belong, wherever they are, as long as you're a cell union. Come in and participate and contribute to good governance.
Now, I want to go over to your aspirations for the flag bearer, but quickly, let's clarify some things. Now, you spoke about the removal of Lara Taylor-Pierce and her deputy. Now, it is no secret that members of the APC some members of the APC voted for her removal. And Jones asked an important question with regards to the numbers. I spoke with Honorable Abdul Kabo the other day, and he stated in no easy terms that APC has the number to ensure that this amendment does not go through Parliament. But we've seen a precedent wherein members of the APC can vote for certain proposition brought up by the SLPP administration. Aren't you concerned that if this bill goes through Parliament, you have some members of the APC parliamentarians who would vote in favor of this bill?
Yes, very concerned, and it's a genuine concern. It's a very real concern. It has happened before, not once, not twice, and there's a high likelihood that it could happen again. And it's a budget agency was talking about the parliamentary system, which has a very strong party discipline, which you don't have in the presidential system. You can see Trump struggling with the Republican Party base in terms of numbers and the Democrats. Yeah, in the presidential systems, you don't have such strong ropes of party discipline as you may have in the UK. Yeah, and so therefore in Sierra Leone, the party discipline is loose. Yes, and it takes the leadership of the party, very strong leadership of the party, to rein in the members of parliament. And then don't forget also that members of parliament are independent. They represent their constituency. And this is why the PR system is also very dangerous. The members of parliament coming through a period do not feel a relationship with the constituents because they came in by a list. And it is by that list. They hardly have to go and campaign. You wouldn't believe it. I don't know when was the last time I saw my MP. In real terms. Are you sure? I wonder whether you know your own MP in your constituency. Yeah, because it's all by district block. And when it's by district block, the connection, the people don't have access. So because of that, the breaking of that chain, the commitment is not there. So yes, I'm deeply concerned that we might have a situation where we will have, like in law, we say runaway jury, but in this time we'll say runaway parliamentarians. And that is a risk. It will be to the detriment of the nation, and we will lose as a people.
Now, you're vying for the flag bearership position of the APC. Your slogan is "Joy is coming."
Yeah.
Is joy going to come?
Certainly. Certainly, I give my commitment that I want to bring joy to the people. Sierra Leone is one of the places that I think by a report, we are the most unhappy people. You drive around, you walk the streets, you look at the faces of our people. There is poverty. There is despair. I want to bring joy to the people. I want to put money into the pockets of the people to relieve them of the pain and anxiety of daily life. And how do I seek to do that? To pay twice a week. So there'll be an increased cash flow. Revamp the economy. Work on the energy. As a government under President Komara, we solved the energy crisis to a large extent in 100 days. It has taken 7 years of the SOPP, and they have failed. They continue to fail. This morning, I almost got late because there was no light, and my generator refused to come on. But I had to manage. Yes, the suit is not ironed. Well, my obligation to serve my people. So I want to bring joy. I need to take a lot, and I'm ready to make the sacrifices for the country.
We've seen the people who've shown interest in the flag bearership position. Who would you describe as your biggest contender now, when you look at the cohort of people that have come forward to say they also want the flag bearership position of the APC?
Very good question. All of them put together. It's difficult to say one person because everybody has his own strength and everybody has his own constituency or stronghold. You have one who may be strong with the Islamic community. You have another who may be strong with the younger generation. You have another one who may be strong with the elite. You have another one who may be strong with the grassroots. So all put together, they are my contenders. But I do respect each and every one of them. We all have very strong capacities and competencies to rule. But I do believe that I have a slight edge. The slight edge that I have is the in-depth knowledge that I have. And having participated in all facets of the governance structure in Sierra Leone, and I've been uniquely placed to be a beneficiary of that experience. And that is what I intend to bring on the table. And I cut across. Yes, I can go to Bo and Bonth. People welcome me. People appreciate me. And we need that unity in this country. And even within the party, each and every one of the contenders, as you may say, are very close friends. We do talk. We play and laugh. I have the ability to call all of them to come together. It is that unifying factor that I want. And I can bring that to the fore. And then we can come together to present one body to the people of Sierra Leone and get an elected president and the president of JFK.
The APC boasts itself as a grassroots party. Do you have the grassroots support JFK? If you were to go into elections now within the APC, would you come out victorious?
Oh yes, I do have grassroots support, even though I don't like the term grassroots. Grass is the lowest of, is the lowest plant. And the root of the lowest plant is putting our people, telling them they're very low. You know, I believe in bringing people up and not describing them as being low. And, but despite the nomenclature, but I'm a people's person. I enjoy being with the people. And my background is such that I'm from humble origins. My mother was an ordinary teacher, my father an administrator. I go to school without lunch sometimes. And I even sold palm oil at Fireball to get a living. And I'm from that background. It doesn't mean today because I wear a suit, so I am uppity and all that. You should see me on weekends. When I move around, I go everywhere. I play football, I jog, I mix. Last Friday, I was at Rokupa Waf. Can you beat it? The vehicle had to stop. We walked for 200 meters and climbed downstairs, 169 stairs, counted them, right down to the wharf where they were. And I was comfortable. That's the kind of person that you want. I'm comfortable. I go to where my people are. I go to find out their way of life. and know what to do about it. And now I know. And I gave them my word that God makes it possible. I want to change their lifestyle.
You've also been, many people attribute your striking similarity to the former president, Hannes Bakoma. Would you be using that as a technique, to gather members of the APC?
Well, that's an interesting one because indeed you're right. Wherever I go, people say, hey, I'm President Komon. Even my contenders don't like it. No, but that's nature. It's not me. It's not my fixing. And have I benefited from it? Yes. People like me. He's still a very lovable man. And people like him still because it has exposed. SLPP has made him more likable. Their failures have made him look like a saint. And so when I go around, people remember his good works and associate me with him. It's a good feeling. Yes, I enjoy it and I like it.
And speaking of your intentions, now, within the APC, and rightly so, people are vying now. You have big money spenders, you have splashers, you have people who have policies, philosophy of how to change the party, of how to rule the nation. Where do you stand when it comes to showing your intention as we stand presently? Are you a spender? Are you a splasher? Are you more theocratic in nature? Are you more practical? Where should we point to when we talk of JFK?
Yeah, it's a simple thing. Just practical. I'm just me. I don't come and make promises. I show pedigree. That is what I've done. Look at what I've performed. Look at the areas I've worked before. Look at the things I've delivered. I am not a splasher. I've been a philanthropist all my life. Every Friday, once a month, all the beggars in the neighborhood come to my office. I do my feed the poor. All these things we have been doing since time immemorial. I can't remember when I started doing this. But I'm a very practical person. And I was asked the question once, what is my constituency? My constituency is the conscience of a good Sierra Leonean. The coalition of the willing that believe in what is good for the country. That is my constituency. So I'm a practical person. When I leave this place, I go around. I'll be heading to a meeting with the UN, and after that I have friends, I visited them, and then we talk, we chat. Ordinary guy, I want people to see a president that is their president, a servant president, a servant president. I don't know when was the last time you saw the president or heard from him, And so at the end of the day, I want to be there for the people. Let the people see me. I want to listen to them. I want for the first time for them to have a listening president, get to their level. When I was speaking to them at Rukupa, I was up the stage, and somebody just said to me, no, get down to the level. I came down, talked to them one-to-one, face-to-face, kojuma koju, as we call it. And that's me. I want to relate with my people. So ordinarily, that's just the guy that you see. You see what you get. I can also be a very disciplined fellow when it comes to discipline. But integrity is my feature. I believe in what is good for the country and what is good for you. Yes. Everybody has his faults. But I'm not easy to bend. I'm not easy to bend. Because when I believe this has to be this way, it has to be for the good of the country. It is time around that the people benefit. It's not for anybody. My daughter asked me the other day, Dad, why are you into all of this? I thought it was an easy question, Victor. I thought it was an easy question, but it was not. I started inquiring in my mind, why am I into this? It's not for wealth. I am content with what I have. Little be too much, we are taught. So what is it? Power? I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a braggart. I even don't like that. I move around quietly, not with thugs posing as security. Casually I go around. I drive myself. Not a day somebody has told me. Not a day. So I was wondering, so what is it that I want? But then I realized, and I asked God, I said, God, don't embarrass me before my child. Give me the answer. And I said, oh, I know. It is not for self. It's not for me. It is for others. It is now this time. What can I do for others? Because to be a politician and to be a leader, it has to be at the time when it is not about you anymore. Until you reach that threshold, you should not be a leader. Because whenever you see that you start thinking about yourself, you need to get a house, you need to get a home, you need to get a wife, you need to get education, you need to satisfy your family, you need to do this. You're not yet a leader. A leader is a selfless man that has reached the stage when he doesn't think about himself. He thinks about what he can do for others. So that is the JFK package.
Before Jones comes in, now you were part of the APC administration that lost in 2018. What specifically would you say you would do differently if you were to be given the flag bearer and if you were to become president?
Yeah. The first thing I will do differently in terms of flag bearers, unify the party. Yes, there's a lot of divisions in the party. Bad blood. I am working on it. I've had several engagements with Dr. Kamara. Of late, it's difficult to access him, but I've had conversations with the executive. I've had conversations with my colleague and my contenders. We've all started having a conversation. It may be difficult, but I'm working to that. Party unity is first, because without coming together, it will be very difficult for us to remove the SLPP from power. And then coming to the State House, there's one thing I want to say. I want to introduce discipline at the very top. Most of what is going on is when the top is not disciplined. Because when you're at the top, you start with yourself. Yes. If you see me wasting government asset, you'll be minded to do that. If you don't see me wasting government asset, you wouldn't do that. Simple. Traveling, for example, let us humorize it a little bit. I've traveled all my life. When I was Assistant Secretary in the US, I had an office in The Hague. I go there twice a week, once a month. Very often, I travel around the globe, lecturing, giving 2 talks here and there. I don't have an appetite of traveling. So when you see me sit down, and I said, nobody should travel, we can't afford it, except on an emergency or a necessary trip. Everybody will comply, because you see it from the top. If you don't see me amassing wealth, I dare you to do it. I know what to do. I have been at the top of the Anti-Corruption Commission. I know where things are wrong. I know what were the challenges. And I know what to do about it. But without being at the top, it's difficult. And I like it when the Americans say the buck stops at the top. When the buck will stop at my desk, you will not have a reason not to hold me accountable. And I say it today, because I have every reason to succeed. I've had the experience. I know what to do. I know where to go to do it. I know what are the resources that are needed. So if I do not succeed, hold me responsible. I will not have an excuse to the people of this country.
Before I speak to Barrister Tejan, let me ask this final question. What if you lost with all of these experience?
Yes. As usual, whenever you lose, it will be a painful experience. It will be difficult. But I believe I should accept. As I said, as a humble person, if you lose, you accept. You give support to the winner. And we believe that we needed a fair playing field. Where there's a fair playing field, we'll all come around, mobilize. We give support to the winner, because it could be that is the designed person to lead. But yes, that is what it will be. I have lost before. In 2018, I didn't win the flag bearership. The party gave it to Samura. We survived it. We came around him, gave him support. In 2023, I refused to participate because I noticed that the goodwill of the political party was still behind Samura Kamara. And we gave him the support. And it is now that I'm saying, in this 2028 elections coming, I don't fashion that the design is there. And so I should now move and pledge myself forward. And this is why I'm giving myself. I will accept the outcome, believing that it's fair, and follow and give support to the APC. We need to replace the SLPP. What they're doing is dangerous for this country.
2 prominent roles if you did not clinch the flag bearership, being an Attorney General or an ACC Commissioner. Which would you choose?
Well, I wouldn't think of wanting to go back.
Okay.
The ACC, I've gone beyond it.
Okay.
In the sense that I've served. I believe in letting other people serve. And even in the position of Attorney General, it will be better and very good for other people who have not had it before. You see, in life, give chance to others. I have had it. I've experienced it. Okay. Some people will need it at the time. So go to them, give them. We should give space. I don't believe in occupying spaces when there are others who could do the same job, or maybe better. So I wouldn't mind to sit back, give support, just be an advisor. Yes, I'm a successful practitioner. I'll continue my advocacy. I'll work with my brother Tejan on his human rights. And by the way, he's my neighbor. Okay. We chat across from the corridors in the mornings. So we will be continuing to work as human rights advocates. Yes, but I hope that I should succeed, and when I do, I'll bring him on board.
Okay.
Despite his SLPP, he'll work with me.
Mr. Tejan, I mean, a while ago, you released a media file saying that most of the people who are now clamoring to become flag bearers within your party are ineligible.
Yes.
Do you stand by it?
Yes, I do.
The last time we interviewed Francis Ben Kaifala, and he said that you couldn't have been right, actually, because if you interpret, yes, correct, all right. If you interpret the structure of internal party laws you have, then you could be wrong, he said.
Which laws? Did he refer
Within the
to
party,
them?
yes.
Which
He
laws?
said you have a party constitution.
Yeah, but that's what I
and it's
refer
subject to
to.
interpretation.
That's what I refer to. I refer to the Constitution. And when I refer to the Constitution, I refer to it holistically, because that's how we interpret the Constitution. I look at all the sections and I came up with my conclusion. If anybody thinks that I'm wrong, he knows where to go.
Then, if that's the case, then don't you think you are doomed as a party?
Pardon?
If all of the young people within the party are ineligible to run?
Well,
isn't it catastrophic for you?
Well, there are exceptional circumstances.
Okay.
It's not a closed shop, as I said in my interview. But there are exceptional circumstances where people can be admitted as distinguished Grand Chief Patrons. For example, those who have been distinguished Grand Chief Patrons before this constitution came into effect in 2020, of course, they can still apply, you understand, and I'm sure NEC would be minded, because after all, they've assumed that position, they've been of good behavior, they've paid their party dues, so there's nothing wrong with people applying, but that's what the Constitution says, and we have to go by the Constitution. It's there for good reasons. It was not just dumped there, it's there for good reasons. We have our experiences. When I was Secretary General in 2012, we lost the elections. 3 people who ran against the present president, Usuboi Kamara, John Lee, who was a former ambassador, and a former another soldier, what's his name now, Kuruma, Sengu Kuruma's younger brother. They all left us, went to the opposition parties. If we had, I mean, that was one of the key reasons why when we reviewed that constitution, people decided that, you understand, loyalty to party is essential. And mind you, we are not choosing presidential candidates like APC are doing.
Okay.
We go to that election to choose the leader of our party. And when we choose the leader of our party, our rules, regulations, and laws is what governs that. It's the leader of the SLPP. The constitution just further said that the leader of the leader of the party in the ensuing elections after his election will stand as our presidential candidate. So that's what people are getting wrong.
Okay.
We do not go to the convention to choose a flag bearer under this present constitution.
Okay.
We go there to choose the leader of the party,
And it
who
is
is the
leader
political head of the
Okay.
party.
Okay. Now, let's talk about you personally. I mean, a lot of people know you as this, constitutional law giant, this Hercules of legal, stuff in this country. A lot of people regard you as a giant, in the legal profession. What do you want? I mean, what future do you see for yourself as a politician in this country? I mean, you're within the SLPP now. I don't know if you're going to leave there, as JFK has said. Perhaps you will join the APC later on. I'm not sure.
No, never. I'll never join another political party.
Just ask him straight. Are you going to vie for the flag bearership of the SLPP?
Yeah, I don't want to just...
As I've always said.
I want to quote
As I've always said, unlike my brother here,
Okay.
you understand? As I sit here, I don't have that drive.
You don't have it?
I don't have that drive to run for the presidency. But
Okay.
they
There's
say
a
the voice of the
conjunction
people
there.
is the voice of God.
Oh, okay.
If God wants me through the people, I would have no other choice.
That's what the first lady has been saying as well.
Listen to me. No, not the first lady.
Does God have to speak to you
No.
before?
If the people, I've never ran for office all by myself. I've never.
Okay.
I've run for Secretary General twice, and on both occasions, people come up to me and say, Mr. Tejan, you should run.
Oh.
When a lot of them come up to me, then I know God wants me to do this. I'll go for it. But as I sit here, come on, I like my privacy. I don't know how he's going to gamble that. I like to walk the streets of Freetown. Like he said, drive when I feel like driving, go anywhere I feel like going. If I feel like sitting in an attire base and talk to the boys there and know how they're thinking, I'll do that. Can I do that as a president? I don't like to be told what to do, or when I should secure myself and when I should not secure myself. I just like my freedom.
Okay.
So that is one turn off for me for the presidency. I just love my privacy.
Let's wait until perhaps God speaks to you eventually.
Through the people,
or
through you people. Maybe you can
Through
start
the
it now. Maybe AYB can start it now and say Tejan for the president.
Lastly, though, I mean, Barrister Tejan, before you leave our studio, whom among this sea of young people, or let's say the creme de la cremes in the party, who are, if you like, vying to become the president of this country, would you throw your support for, and why?
They all have to convince me. I'm not convinced yet.
None of them have convinced
None of them
you.
have convinced me yet.
That's catastrophic, don't you think?
What will it take for them to convince you?
What are
Policy
your
direction.
requirements?
Policy.
Policies.
Policy. I want somebody to identify what is wrong with Sierra Leone today. Once that person starts talking about what is wrong with Sierra Leone today, and the first thing we should do, then I'll know that this is the man who can get it right. But for now, nobody's speaking that language. Everybody just taking the same thing. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. But there is one primary factor that is wrong with Sierra Leone. When you take care of that, everything would fall in place.
Is it your assessment that, is that the same for both the SLPP and the
Both
APC
SLPP
aspirants?
and APC.
So you haven't seen anything from JFK yet?
No, JFK has not talked. Joy is coming is an abstract. Let him, he has to go forward and tell me how that joy is coming, where it's coming from, and how we're going to get that joy.
All right. Gentlemen, it's been quite, a discussion this morning. Thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you.
For gracing our studio. I mean, we'll be privileged indeed to have you again. I mean, I regard both of you as giants in the legal field. So,
thank you.
I mean, what we've done this morning is lay the enigma bare, with your legal exposés and explanations. I feel even the CJ and all of those in the, justice sector, are enlightened as to the next course of action regarding this, puzzling amendment they've tabled in Parliament. Thank you so much.